And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode 25. Alright, well, I think my shirt is just absolutely perfect today. We have a very nice, gorgeous example of a Ford Aerostar, which we're going to talk about. And it's a little bit more modern. We've been doing some older stuff, so let's get into more later in the Aerostar's great reign of existence. This is a 1996 Ford Aerostar XLT listed in Roseville, Michigan for just $1,500. So we're still in Michigan and we're still at a $1,500 Ford Aerostar, as was our last video, our beautiful remix edition to episode 24. This vehicle, it has been driven 235,000 miles. Not uncommon for Aerostars at all. I've seen Aerostars with over 300,000 miles on them. It's an automatic transmission. Exterior color is brown and the interior color is brown. Now I'm going to argue more of a gold, but gold is certainly in the brown spectrum. So, in totality, no real argument. Clean title. This vehicle has no significant damage or problems. Well, that's great to hear. Unfortunately, this is one of those posts that has no description, and so it's up to us to speculate freely about everything about this Aerostar, which is kind of nice. The thing I'm going to highlight about this particular listing and this particular Aerostar is the photos. The photos of this Aerostar are just wonderful and breathtaking. So I'd like to shout out the seller for these beautiful photos. We have it in this sort of back alley lot. All the colors sort of match the Aerostar. It's very well framed. It looks like almost like an old film studio set or something like that. Kind of like Rust Belt Americana and industrial. And it's just a beautiful setting for the Aerostars. And I think these photos are very, very nice. So, because we have no description to get into, let's just do a beautiful little walk around. First thing we'll notice is that the bumpers are more or less color matched. And a lot of times these bumpers were gray from the factory, but these ones look to be gold. And as much as I love the two-tone Aerostars, and I love the Aerostars came in so many color combinations and two-tone combinations, even like a sandwich two-tone where the bottom and the top match and the middle's different, it's striped there. I love a monochromatic Ford Aerostar. I'm very into monochromatic color schemes on houses and all sorts of things. It's become a bit trendy, I would even say, monochromatic. And certainly, in the car world, monochromatic cars are nothing new or nothing really special. It's very common to paint a car all one color. It's probably the majority of cars are that way. However, given the Aerostar usually has these factory gray bumpers, I've always loved when the bumpers are color matched to the vehicle. I think it just gives it, a very pure look, and you can study its design with sort of an uncluttered eye. So I really like when the bumpers are color matched. Now, this is not maybe quite perfectly color matched, but maybe it's just the light here. But even the hood and the quarter panel on the side of the vehicle don't look quite exactly right. And actually, that's one thing I love too, is almost sort of like a Janky monochromatic, where it's kind of variation on a theme. It's not necessarily like the wheels on my Buick are painted white, and it's not the exact same white as the color of the car, but I kind of like that. It's just a little bit off, and it gives that just little tiny bit of depth and jankiness to it. So I really, really appreciate that. Of course, your grille here is still gray, the factory Ford gray that almost everything was done in. Now, I think that would look really cool gold as well, and then you got the real complete, and you see sometimes people will actually paint the chrome surrounding the grille and these headlight bezels the vehicle color too, and that's really doing it up. And then you're like kind of really, coloring it out and making it totally like plastered. I think that looks good. I'm all for that, but I think this is just a little bit more subtle, a little bit more factory. You just sort of have the bumpers, the only thing that really is matched to the rest of the vehicle, and I think that looks just fine. You still get just tiny enough variation there to make it not hit you over the head with it, but still very pure and very having a sense of continuity. So I like that. Moving on. This is my favorite photo of this whole posting. I just think it looks great here. We have this tractor trailer. You have some, paint fade here. Just a beautiful blue sky with some white puffy clouds. You got some green in the background. You got a stack of pallets here. You know, this Aerostar is just like, you know, ready to do some work or ferry some people around, whatever its purpose may be on that particular day. It's ready for action. It's obviously put in a long amount of work already at 235,000 miles. And, you know, this is obviously just like a standardization thing here, but no significant damage or problems. You know, the seller is listed as such, so, you know, it's up to them to sort of hold that up. But just a beautiful, beautiful shot. Your Aerostar is framed nicely in a beautiful sort of 3/4 shot here. Looks like there is a tiny bit of rust going on down here. Just the edge of the door, probably a little, you know, water dripping off there, and maybe a little bit right here in this corner as well. No big deal. You can get that patched right up. It already has this beautiful, like, sort of patina that's sort of just beautifully floating on down the side of the car. So the quarter panel here looks like I have the majority of it, and then it just sort of slowly meandering its way. I love patinas on cars. My 86 Aerostar is brown. It has a beautiful patina on it. I always tell people, you know, it took the sun 30 years to paint this beautiful paint job on this vehicle, and you really can't outdo nature's way of making everything beautiful and organic and subtle and nuanced. Excuse me. And so I think patinas are so beautiful, because if you tried to fake a patina, and you often see this, especially like distressed jeans and stuff like this, but I think there's no faking out Mother Nature, and I think a natural patina is one of the most beautiful looking things in the world. So I love the patina. It almost takes the same pattern as like a flame logo would. You know, when you see flames running down the side of the car, it almost is that. And obviously it's the sun that's doing this, so in a way it's like a natural sort of like paint sun flames coming down the side of your car. So I think that's very, very beautiful. Love the look of this Aerostar. Just really no frills. It's a good color. I love gold cars. I have a gold 1982 Fiat X19. I think it's a very underrated car color. I love Ferraris in gold. I love Corvettes in gold. And even brown, that Zeus bronze on the new C8 is a beautiful, beautiful color. And becoming sort of a sought-after color, too, I believe, as an aside, because not many people ordered it. So your rear bumper here, again, is gold, but a little lighter gold. And now we're talking about that sort of janky monochromatic look. You have your factory hubcaps here, which are, I say, kind of like a slicer style. They remind me a little bit of what the C4 Corvette was doing with the slicer wheels. It almost looks like a little bit of a, you know, like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles throwing star or something like that. So a very, very cool piece. Looks like it's in motion even when it's standing still. And just a beautiful, beautiful shot of this Aerostar. The sun just glistening down upon it in all its glory. Moving on. Interior, very, very clean. Now your carpets look like they got some stains on them, but the seats themselves, very, very nice. And a gold interior, a tan interior is perfect here. And you do have your red piping with your two-tone seats and your two different types of material seats. Again, your more textured, heathered look in the middle, and on the outside, more of like a velour, just straight, you know, solid color. Now, these moldings are very known for cracking and peeling with the sun. So with all the exterior patina, it's surprising that these are in as good condition as they are. Even your headliner looks to be in very good shape. Now, maybe a little going on in your front headliner. These have a funny sort of like two-tone headliner in them. I think they're all like that. The front headliner, maybe it was supposed to be a little tougher or something like that. Your great big giant 90s dome light here. Little clips here, all your beautiful accessories. Of course, your wonderful sliding windows that were unique to the Aerostar. And the interior looks to be overall, again, aside from the carpets, in very, very good shape. I just love these two-tone seats, bench seats with two different types of materials. I think it's very, very attractive to the eye. You have your rear speakers here, and even that, none of that's cracked. Looks like you do have your rear headphone feature here, so the passengers can listen to headphones in the back. Just a great, great feature. Your great netting, your side pouch here. Really beautiful, really good condition interior overall. Now you have your front here, again, more tan, more gold everywhere, just and a myriad of shades too. Your carpet is a little bit different than your cup holder, and of course technically this would qualify as a black and tan interior. I love a black and tan interior. Now I love when there's a straight line going across that separates the black and tan, but I also like this very much, where you have your just very basic, very simple, very curved and bulbous Very nice controls, but your buttons are all pretty small here and nice and tight. You have these sort of like beaker shaped controls and knobs where the arrow of the pointer, you know, obviously indicates where exactly the dial is, which is nice and clear and concise, easy to use. You have of course, your cruise control. You know, the nice thing about, I really do, as much as I love the earlier Aerostars and sort of the pre-facelift interior, I do really like we'll call it the second generation interior, the post-facelift interior. I think it's very no frills. You have a little bit more information. Your speedometer has been updated a little bit, and it just feels a little bit more refined and a little bit more well thought out. Sort of the 80s was brought into the 90s. One of the only real major updates on these Aerostars in their entire run was that the interior got a refresh. I believe around 1992, somewhere along those lines. And I do have to go read the Ford Wikipedia. I really got to study up. Again, I'm a little rusty here. I've you know, read all this multiple times, but I would like to know the exact year that all this did change, just so I could, you know, more accurately inform you wonderful viewers at home. I love a horn mounted button on the steering wheel. Generally, I find that they're a little bit more precise and easy to sort of like do a quick bop on. Some horns aren't super responsive. If you just wanted to do a little toot toot as you're leaving someone's house, I think this works very nice for this. Also, when you're driving, you don't have to actually hit the horn. It's just right there, centrally mounted for your thumbs. And I like that it's on both sides. A great feature. I really love this steering wheel. It's technically a 4-spoke, I think you would call it, but I love the little panel that runs through the middle, and I love it in gold. Now, of course, this steering wheel was put in everything from the little Mercury Capri that they made from 91 to 94, a car I love, to Ford F-150s. I mean, they put this steering wheel in everything, and I like that. You know, people talk about part spin cars and how everything was just a part spin and they just took it. I like that Ford made a steering wheel they could put in everything from a sports car to a pickup truck to an Aerostar, which is kind of like a combination of a sports car and a pickup truck, if you think about it. I think that's good efficiency. I think it's good design. If something can be very versatile, and of course the Aerostar itself, probably the most versatile vehicle ever made. So, beautiful interior. We absolutely love that. Again, headliner and even your sun visors look to be in very, very nice condition. Almost looks like this car was detailed. I don't even see much dust or anything hanging out on it. I appreciate going into the interior and taking some nice clear shots of it, so it's very accurately and honestly presented. Again, another beautiful shot here. We have a nice rear 3/4. You can really study the lines of the Aerostar and see how beautiful they were. The circular gas cap just in the right spot. And it is, of course, the XLT version. And now, of course, we have black badging instead of the red badging that was on the earlier XLT models. Again, rear bumper, both bumpers, no cracks. Looks to be no cracks or anything of that nature in them, which is good because these Aerostar rear bumpers are almost impossible to find, or the front bumper for that matter, but it seems like the rears are even more impossible to find. Your great wiper blade here, and your blue oval, of course. Just a beautiful, beautiful package, and you see that sun fade going on right there. I love these gold bumpers. Now maybe they did start doing that later in the Aerostar's run, is actually painting the bumpers. I'm not quite sure, but certainly this is a devastatingly beautiful Aerostar, and I would love to add this to the fleet. This to me, I don't know, something about 96, 97. Of course, the taillights changed to the amber was gone. It was just red and white. So 96 was sort of the last year before the final year, and in the final year it seemed like it was almost an afterthought, and they did do the little taillight change, that signified 97. I wish they had done sort of more of a grand finale, like when the Fiat X19, which at that time became the Bertone X19, finally exited. They did like sort of a grand finale version to celebrate it. I wish the Aerostar had done something like that, but you know, we got the different taillights, so that was sort of our swan song. Ironically, I kind of like these taillights better anyways with the amber in there. I think the proportion of the colors of the bars all makes sense in a perfect little feng shui there. So 96 was your last sort of standard Aerostar. It had fully come into the modern age. It had all the features you could want of a car of that era. And it was just a really, really complete package. And I think the color is great on this one. I love how everything's tan. It's just, it sits right. You know, as Jay Leno says, cars just, sometimes they just seem to sit right, you know, and this one certainly seems to sit right. It just has a great stance to it, a great angularity to it. And again, really, really great pictures, and I appreciate the seller taking these very nice pictures of it. I wish there was a little bit more in terms of description, but if you're interested in this Aerostar, you're welcome to reach out to them. And hey, for $1,500 for a running and driving Aerostar with a clean title, not so bad. And you know, for $1,500, say eventually you got to do an engine swap out or you got to do a transmission rebuild, where you're in it for such little money. Especially for the amount of utility you're going to get with this vehicle, that'd be worth pumping in a couple more thousand and to get this, like, you know, really bulletproof. Car prices are only going up, and I'm sure Aerostar prices are only going up. But they continue to be one of the cheapest used cars out there, which is really astonishing. Not only have they not really quite gotten a strong foothold in the classic car market, despite some good literature starting to come out on them. But I think people just overlook them. People don't want a van per se, or they, you know, gravitate towards the Astro if they do want a van, or they'll buy a station wagon or an SUV or something like that. So this is perfect because 1996 cars were, in the grand scheme of things, relatively modern, yet not with all the total reliance on computers and stuff like that, where, you know, you're not going to have as much headaches when it comes time to pass your vehicle inspection. We don't see any picture of the underside, but from the very, very minimal amount of body rust on the car, now a little bit of denting there. It looks like your jacking point has been bent, which is very common, maybe even a little bit of side swipe damage. But, you know, nothing really too substantial. Again, I think this car, for 235,000 miles on, you know, 2006, 2016, almost a 30-year-old vehicle, pretty remarkable condition. And that's what the Aerostar does. It just hangs around and continues to serve dutifully. So there you have it. A wonderful, really striking, really elegant 1996 Ford Aerostar XLT. Thank you, as always, so much for watching here on Janky AF. And until next time, Janky do Thanky.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.